Yeah, welcome to the pre-Christmas. I don't know, celebration might be a bit of a stretch given how I'm feeling and how you're probably feeling. I was thinking the other day, like, the only thing harder than this year has been me on myself for not nailing it, you know, for not getting it right, for having a tough time. It's funny how those things can go so hand in hand together. Um, but yeah, it's well. Everything's cool here in Roslyn, BC. The sound of snow blowers, echo throughout this cul-de-sac. It's what was kind of charming in the first like foot of it is now like kind of resignation to the elements and that kind of determined losing battle to ever get ahead of it. So yeah, I don't know if that has the right metaphor for how we were feeling heading into this. What seems like another determined push to get through this last bit of challenge for hopefully, not just easier times, but the clearing away of the greater work that this has uncovered in our society and in ourselves. Yeah, so, someone asked me to speak to the nature of grief, and I'm going to get to that because this has been full of it for me. Full of it for a lot of, in all the senses of that word, but so too, a lot of grieving things I didn't even know I was sad about. Yeah, and that's what you take away all of what I'd papered on to my life, the incessant travel, the what I thought to be like an identity that I could place in my work as a physician, as a son to my mother. You just take that all away in one fell swoop, and I'm left with me, great, alone with me, and all of those feelings that maybe had led to what seemed like a life of meaning could have been, unfortunately, just papering or hiding. I could be hiding underneath them. So yeah, I'm going to talk to that for a sec. I also just wanted to mention that one thing that I've been leaning on, and I was reminded of it because I'm away from the ER right now, so I want to still be there with my friends because there is this solidarity that you have when you're facing challenge that makes it a little bit easier to endure, or a lot easier, actually possible to endure. So I've been connecting with them weekly, and we've been doing meditation. And the last one on Thursday was, it's the end of a sequence of things that I thought would help complete, make a more complete meditation practice. We're almost at the end, and the last session was on self-compassion. And it's funny, I was like thinking, why do I feel so good today? After, the whole day through, I was like, why do I feel kind of actually teetering on happiness throughout the entire day? And I was like, oh right, I did that meditation in the morning. So we're gonna focus a bit on that. But I guess the ethos of it is that, as I said earlier, there's this tendency to kind of be hard on myself for the suffering that I'm going through, and wondering what I should be doing to get myself out of it, when just going through the process is enough. And so that's the growth area for me of forgiving myself. That's something that comes up for me a lot. Why didn't you do that? Why aren't you there? Why can't you do it all? And it's just heavy. A certain heaviness starts to accrue, and the more things you add to that list, the more impossible it becomes, but you never take anything off of it. I rarely take anything off of it. So there's this concept in I'm sure, I've heard it in Buddhism, but I'm sure it's not exclusive to there, that is the second era. So as if enduring the privations of isolation wasn't enough, then there is like, well, why didn't I accomplish more today? It's like the judgment on top of the judgment, on top of the difficult feeling, which is kind of the only thing that we have within our control. So I'm reflecting on that a lot these days as I try to pull meaning from this time. And I appreciate that sometimes meaning may be just something that is a human side effect of being alive. It could just be math, cruel math, and second law of thermodynamics, and we're just destined for dissolution no matter what tack we take. That even the greatest legacy is going to be dust, and in the true sense of that word, and in the abstract sense, no one will remember your name. No one will remember. Which can seem hardcore. It can seem hardcore, but the part of me that wants meaning says, yeah, true, but yet there's something that maybe is beyond that idea of legacy, that maybe is beyond that hope for immortality that we all kind of cling to our chest, that maybe, just maybe, I'm going to be the one who makes his or her way out of this situation unscathed. What a crazy notion. What a crazy notion that is. But it is absolutely not true. I can tell you that for 100% certain fact, having experienced it. But maybe the meaning is in reaching beyond ourselves, like those trees reach towards the sky, never get there, only closer. Or you can think they never get there, but actually they are in the sky. So there is this part that is like the yearning part of our soul, that is the suffering, grieving part of us sometimes. But beyond that, there is this like, I have this like, the part that is the puzzling biological matrix of us that wants to reach into the future. And if you were totally Darwinian, you'd say reach into an unexplored avenue with which you can access energy and resources. You grow your beak till you can be the sapsucker. Or you would learn how to drop a nut from the sky to uncrack that riddle of the nut. And so there's this, if you really took that evolutionary biology tack. However, I think that we're seeing, and what we're referencing in the, some of the calls to action from Turtle Lodge, etc., is there's different kind of riches. There's different types of energy. There's different ways to be healthy. That's not just being able to afford antibiotics. It's actually being in community. And it's actually making a planet that is thriving and actually true love for yourself that comes from within, that you feel from without, that you can have in romance, yeah, sure. You can have in family love. But that you can manifest from the inside out. That's the real stuff. And that bird that dropped that nut, the bird that dropped the nut to try to crack the riddle of the nut, wants to share it. Probably told everyone, couldn't wait to tell everyone or show everyone, especially if it was a man that he figured it out, or a male that he figured it out. But then share it. That's the meaning, I guess. I do understand that there is possibly none. I consider it almost a 50-50 chance, and that this is a way for me to soothe myself into that feeling of immortality that makes us unafraid of dying. But as someone who's been faced with it not that long ago, I'm just taking a biological tack. I'm just watching democracy and spread. Okay, let me take that back. I'm watching more women go to school and learn to read and take control all over the world. I'm watching families who were once in abject poverty being able to be lift themselves out of it. And if I could kind of guess that, and if I regret, the only line I regret in that editorial or essay that I wrote in the Globe yesterday was I said, a system whose growth is encouraged at all costs. We're in a system whose growth is encouraged at all costs and is blind to natural limits. I think that's true. But I would have added, if I could, is like a system whose growth is encouraged at all costs because it can help many people. But it's grown blind to natural limits because the way we set it up is such that what we extract is so distanced from where we take it, where it's taken from, that we have no idea. We forgot. We think that's why the fire tomorrow is so important. It's because, and the fire, it's a single flame, okay? It's a single flame, and the flame can be a candle that you burn all day, or transfer that flame to another candle. And the reason why that's important is you're tending to this flame. And it's an act of focus and meditation. But it is also, kind of a reminder of what we're capable of. The power that we have to affect and change the world in front of us, right in front of us. My friend of mine's giving me a hard time yesterday saying, yeah, I read your article, it was cool, and I thought, it's going to be 5 steps to how to change the things, and you just said, light a fire. And he's like, I can definitely do that. And I'm like, hey, it wasn't my idea. It was the elders from Turtle Lodge. But I think it makes sense for those reasons in that husbandry of, I don't know if that's the right word, of energy, cultivating, working on realizing your power, comes a growing sense of the importance in being able to wield it in a way that satisfies your deepest desire for growth or connection to the thing that made this whole experiment to begin with. God, nature, math. So I had this realization at Burning Man one year where I was like, I could just had a glimpse of the chimpanzee that saw a lightning strike and a tree fall and catch another tree on fire, and he or she thought, and picked up a stick and put it in the fire and brought it over somewhere else, and it too burst aflame. And I thought, and in that moment, the predicament, I can save I'm going to change the lives of my whole tribe, my whole family, my whole, whatever you call a tribe of chimpanzees. And I can burn this whole forest down. That's the burning man, burning woman. We have this power, and we have the power to burn everything down. So that's why tomorrow is really important, and we're able to, just take a moment, a single day, and just reflect. In the busyness of it all, at this very dark time, something bright and full of energy that is us, an emblem of us, the collision of earth and water and air, and bursting into fire and flame, like the fire and flame that's happening in the mitochondria of my cells every moment. Some in those mitochondria, the sugars are snapping apart, and in those chemical bonds, ATP is released when it's exposed to oxygen. When it's not exposed to oxygen, very few ATP are released, not the 23 3, I should know, that are from a single glucose molecule, but actually like 2. In the absence of oxygen, those 2 are made in anaerobic metabolism. So the product of anaerobic metabolism in the absence of oxygen is that it creates acid, and so the acid makes your muscles sore. That's why when you run fast, you get a stitch in your side, your diaphragm gets ischemic. Or after you're done a day on the mountain snowboarding for the first time in a while, your muscles ache because it hasn't had that oxygen. Because inside of you combine water, oxygen, fire. Same too with that emblem of the fire that Turtle Lodge is talking about tomorrow. One more thing about that, and then I'm going to go on to grief, and then we'll do a meditation if you want to play along, follow along. But yeah, I really suggest doing that, keeping that flame throughout the day, and just asking yourself the question, what am I here to do? Who am I? What should I do next? And take that practice. I've taken that practice into my life, on kind of advice of the people I met at Turtle Lodge, and it looks like me praying on my knees every morning and every night. Last night I went to bed and I was tired, and I'm like, I'm just gonna do it on my back, kind of lazily, and I'm like, nope, get on your knees, man, humble yourself, dude, and get out of bed. It's cold and everything. But I'm like, just thank you so much for another day. How did I do? That's more or less what I say. How did I do? And then in the morning, I wake up and I say, thank you for another night's sleep. I feel rested or not, it doesn't matter. Thank you for another night's sleep. What should I do today? How should I? I'll give you permission to take hold of me and guide me. And I'm not speaking to, God necessarily in a singular sense that I could describe to you, but I'm just saying, all biology, all my intuition, with all the love in my heart, I can open myself to it so I can just carry me throughout my day. And so the encouragement of the people at Turtle Lodge is to take this opportunity to ask that question and recognize the power that we have to interact with the world, and so we may use it to our own kind of enlightenment, our own version of enlightenment, whatever that is, and it's going to look different for different people. No one can really tell you the answer about what to do for you, except that the right question can help unlock something in us. And I found that in my fumblings, my failings and fumblings, of which my life is littered with, the thing is, I've always wanted to know the answer, what's going to make it better, and what is it going to take to get it right. And all I've been able to discover so far is that whenever I get close to that thing that is closest to my heart, is closer to me than I am to myself, I never get an answer, just the question goes away. I never get a cognitive answer. It's never I can write it down. It's just the question drops away. I felt that sometimes with MSF in Sudan. I felt it at my mother's bedside when she was dying this year, and I was stroking her hair and saying, shh, 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 soothing her like she soothed me when I was a boy, and had no questions. That was it. That was life. That was living. So opening ourselves to that question is an act of grace, to humble ourselves. That's humbling myself and forgiving myself and realizing more and more I don't know. I'm just opening myself up to answers. And then the answers aren't typically unlocked in the thinking mind. The thinking mind is a questioning mechanism. It's a questioning mechanism that does thought experiments that you're supposed to drop into the deeper felt sense of your body and see if it works for you. But what happens is we live in a very cognitive focused society, reading, inner voice, screens, flashes in your mind's eye after you're done watching them. It's very heady. But the real kind of juice happens with the body and the whole thing coming together. That's why meditation is a good practice. That's why the meditation tomorrow with the flame is a good reminder. It can help us gather as many inputs as possible if we're open to them, and help us kind of like navigate skillfully through the morass of challenges that appear to be upon us, So one more thing about the flame, and then I'm going to move. That's going to transition to grief. I'll say a tiny second on COVID, and then we'll do the meditation. One time I did this retreat with this teacher named Thich Nhat Hanh. He's a Buddhist monk, Buddhist teacher in the Zen tradition. He's from Vietnam, and he was actually, Martin Luther King nominated him for the Nobel Peace Prize before he was killed. No, Martin Luther King was killed because of Thich Nhat Hanh's work in Vietnam, trying to say, there's no North Vietnam, there's no South Vietnam, there's just human beings on either side of this conflict. It's not even ours. It was very dangerous. I'm sure his life was in danger many times for preaching the notion of peace. But I did a retreat with him one time. He's, it's probably in his 80 or so. And he would do this thing that was like Sunday school. And so he would call up like the kids in the audience. There was like 800 of us there. Call up the kids from the audience, and he would, tell them a little story and this and that. And one day he called the kids up, and he lit a match, and he said, "This is your father or mother." I think he said, "This is your father. This is your father." And then he lit a candle with the match, and he's like, "And that's you. You're the candle, the flame in the candle." And then the match burned out, or he blew it out, and so he asked the kids, "So is your father gone, or is he alive in you?" And they said, "Alive, alive, alive, alive," like 4 or 5-year-olds, alive, alive, alive. They got it instantly, boom, like that. And he's like, "That's right. That's the nature of nature. The living, ongoing, changing form that is nature. It only changes form. It never goes away." And when I drink this tea came from the clouds. This tea was once clouds. I'm drinking clouds right now. The clouds made rain. The rain went into the river. The river went into the faucet. The faucet became the tea. The tea is in my body, and it becomes my body, and then it leaves my body, goes back into the river, again turns into clouds. So he explained this whole concept of impermanence in a way that even children can understand, and dying and death and life and flame. So, that's cool comfort when you're grieving, in my opinion. Cool comfort. I miss my mom every day. She died 6 or 7 months ago. And she was the closest relationship I've ever had and probably ever will have. She never made a move, a sentence, an utterance towards me without total love, forgiveness, and kindness. It was impossible. She couldn't do it. It was impossible for her. Every word she ever said, they weren't always kind. Sometimes there were things I needed to hear. But she said them from the most loving place. I don't know how to even talk about it. It's so rare. But it made me think, like, what if the whole thing is mothering us like that? What if because we're all connected through our belly buttons to the one mother that started this whole thing. And my mother, she was awesome, but I can't think that that type of attitude is unique. It's pretty consonant with motherhood from what I've seen, and the best version of fatherhood I've seen across a wide variety of people. So what if the whole thing is mothering us like that? Couldn't actually say a bad word about us if it tried. And even through COVID, it's just trying to massage us into a place that all of us, okay, give us this lesson so we can learn it about how to help other people, keep ourselves safe, protect the animals, protect the environment, wake up so we can enjoy the heaven that is possible in this very world, and makes us feel like sad because we're missing it. We know it's there and we can just taste it, but we're not quite there yet. So the last bit about grief is my experience of it is dense. It is dense. I don't know if I've had true carefree happiness for a couple of years, to be honest, But hey, it's adulting, I guess, but it's particularly dense at the beginning, the grief. And suffocating almost, a feeling like a cloak. The feels like if love is this, light, airy absence of the body that is, the connected to everything, grief is like the other half of it. It's like the heavy, earthy, feeling closed within yourself, can't connect with anything. It's the other half of the love. Almost exactly the other half of it. So, I guess I'm still trying to puzzle my way through it, but I don't want to reject it because I can't reject a love. I can't. I can't. That my mom's love is within me, but so I don't want to reject it, but I don't want it to swallow me either, right? So I'm sitting with it and opening to it and asking myself, yes, please, saying yes, please. Okay. Mourning, grieving. A lot of the ruminating part of it for me was saying like, woulda, coulda, shoulda, what if I would have done this? What if I would have told the doctor, don't put a Foley in my mom? Maybe she wouldn't have tripped over it. What if I would have not gone to India? I could have picked up the leukemia earlier, all this stuff. Like so as I can let go of that, then I'm left with like, I miss that chick. She was so cool. And then what's kind of happened for me as I got less smothered by it, I suppose, is that whenever I got a feeling like a memory of my mom came up, or my dad, he's still alive, but he's hurting. Whenever a feeling came up of my mom, I would at firstly start to like, how do you get this like, oh, shit feeling, and it, I said shit, so that means that Instagram won't let me share this, or neither will Facebook. But I got this feeling that I was lost something I could never recover. But then I started to kind of think about it a little bit differently, just because I had time gives you a bit of space to reckon it. And I started to think like, well, we're all just kind of connected with people that we have met. And I'm so deeply connected to my mom and the people in my family close to me, and my friends second most. But like cognitively and lovingly, whatever that thing is inside of us that connects with human beings at not a brain level, but at the other kind of like lower register of love. So I'm connected in the spiritual realm. Let's just call the spirit as something that includes the mind and the body, connected in the spiritual realm. So when I had this thought, image, feeling of something that evoked my mom, I stopped. I noticed the voice going, ah, crap. I'm a little boy and I'm lost and alone. I stopped like with I noticed that the shucks kind of like second arrow feeling. And I'm trying to remember, oh, she's visiting me again. That the sense of love that is my mom, that is her body, mind, and spirit. Her and I are connected forever. I'll never not think about her because she's so important to me. So when I get that feeling, she's evoked in mind, image, in spirit. When I get that feeling, I think, oh, Mom, welcome back. Welcome back. I'm doing good. I'm in Rossland or wherever, glad to be with you again. I miss you. And that tangle of that thing that is spirit is still alive within me. It still lives within me, right? So why would I hate it? Why would I shut it down? She's living through me right now. So I'm starting to open myself up to embrace her again and not be afraid of getting hurt, because I got hurt because I lost her, but only her body, right? But and a chance to talk to her. Well, a chance, I don't know. So I don't know about that one. You ask some other people who may be more qualified to speak to it than me. But I'm trying to open myself up to her again in a way that is loving, and trust that she wants the best. Not just that she wants the best for me. That loving feeling that she gave me is alive inside of me. It's alive and well, and it's caring for me. Although even if I have to go back to that biological reductionism of saying it's the first mother, the last unknown common ancestor who did this experiment under the hot ocean 3.2 billion years ago, and said, I'm going to give this a try. And the universe is pregnant with life, birthed this whole thing. And we're left in a very short period of humankind saying like, holy smokes, we woke up. We just woke up. We're like a baby. That's how I feel about it. We're like a baby. People are just waking up. People are like, wah, and fighting and slashing out and causing wars and all this stuff like a baby. And we're getting this, but we're like caught. We're trying to shake off these old stories of it matters who you are, where you're from. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter how you. It matters. It doesn't matter who you are. It matters how you are. And that's why the talk about compassion, love, grieving, kindness is so important. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter where you are. It only matters how you are. And in the how you are, you decide the why. And so that's where we're at. Why are we? And in my opinion, this is just mine, I feel a vaccine came before we really could figure out how to protect the most vulnerable. I think we could have done a lot more figuring about how to not get this disease, to be honest with you. And a lot more paying attention to how not to get it. That's my opinion. But the vaccine, would I take it? Yeah, sure. I don't think it's like gonna be bad for me. I'm just thinking like, I don't know, maybe I can donate it. I'll think about it some more. But yeah. So last thing on COVID, then we'll close out with a meditation. Tomorrow is this fire business. And that means at dawn, light a flame. Light a flame and don't forget about it. That's it. And if you want to drop in the question of why you've been put in the situation that you are, and how you're going to, particularly you, work your way out of it, with no preference where the answer comes from, knowing it may not be a cognitive answer and probably won't be, but believing that you are beautiful, which may be hard for us to believe sometimes. But I've seen the human eye. If you have a human eye, even if you don't, if you have a human cell, holy shit, now they definitely won't share it. If you have a human cell, you're beautiful. I'm beautiful and deserving of the best. And how, as we humble ourselves and ask that question, why am I here and who am I? And tend that flame, then the answer perhaps will be upon us. But I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday who also works with some First Nations people, and I'm not Pollyanna. I'm not just like swept away in some spiritual bypass thing that thinks, oh great, well, I used to think Buddhism was cool, and now I'm going to go follow Indigenous teachings because I'm actually just afraid to look at myself. No, I'm not afraid to look at myself. And luckily I have friends of mine who are also help me out with that. But I haven't seen, in my own country at least, greater integrity about a viewpoint that includes all living things and animals. Now, Buddhism points to the bodhisattva as choosing to suffer such that he or she can know what it's like to hang on to suffering instead of getting rid of it, so you can know what it's like, so you can help all living things. But I haven't seen it evinced in a way that is so clear in my own country, except in our First Nations, because of the way their habits and behaviors. Give offering before you take the plant, before you shoot the moose. Give thanks in ceremony. Ask a higher power. And I just really appreciate their intelligence and their heart-forward way of being. So I'm not, I guess I'm a rational skeptic. So I'm in it until it proves itself not capable to the task. But so far, every time that I've interacted with many of these people, it seemed like their kindness precedes them, and their interest in recognizing all living things is sincere. And I think I've mentioned this before, but when I was talking to Dave, one of the earlier conversations, Dave Corchin from Turtle Lodge, he said, yeah, when the white man came here, they thought, look at these heathens, they're worshiping totems and trees and crows. And Dave said, they made such a huge mistake, because we only worship God like them. We only worship God. There's one God. But everything else is our uncle or our auntie. The tree, the crow, the river. We're not above them. We humble ourselves to them because we're part of it. So what I heard from my friend the other day was that some people in our First Nations in Canada have identifying COVID as having a particular spirit, its own spiritual energy. It's one entity having its own way of being. They've even named it, not COVID, another name, I can't recall. But they even named COVID. But what they're suggesting is, just like any spiritual entity, it isn't just limited to the biological. It's also manifests in many different ways. So as it makes the body sick, it can also make the human politics sick, the human shared body sick. It can divide us, make us, it is dividing us kind of, right? We're isolating. It can divide us. It can make us angry. It can make us not forgiving. It can let certain people claim conspiracy and occupy real estate in our minds and hearts, even though they have no real interest in our well-being. They pretend. It's like all of these things can occur, are in fact occurring. So it's all just the product of the same thing. And so you have to ask what it wants. That's their opinion. You have to ask what it wants. You have to realize that it will be satisfied. It needs to be satisfied like any spirit. You have to do what you can to be healthy and safe, but also understand its longer and more larger kind of version of its life, to understand it and how to be safe and protect yourself. So, I'll leave that as an open question as well too. I don't have any particular answer yet, but perhaps one will come to me tomorrow. All right, that's enough for me. It's a nice day here, and I'm gonna go slide down a slippery mountain if I can get myself to the hill. Well, it's still open. Who knows? I heard things are kind of like hectic in some of the mountains around here. All right, so cool. Well, we're gonna do a bit of a meditation, and then that's it. No celebration exactly, although I'm probably gonna jump on Twitch later today if I can. Twitch.tv. My handle is Dr. J Find a Way, and play some music with some friends. We just kind of like to jam and collect tunes, and I don't know. That's it. So I'll let you know if I jump on the radio. But let's do this meditation thing if you're into it, and get on with the rest of our busy lives. Okay, so just like 15 minutes or so. I mean, I could use it. I don't know about you. So wherever you are, if you've never done this before, just, I guess, try to find yourself somewhere kind of quiet is the most important thing. You can certainly meditate on sound. And in fact, if you start to take your meditation practice into the nuclear, then you head directly towards the most challenging situation and see if you can maintain awareness with all of these inputs. But I don't think I'm into that right now. I have enough inputs at this point. We're just going to try to find somewhere kind of quiet and safe for you. And yeah, so wherever that is, get yourself into what I would say to be a relaxed and alert position. So that would typically be, upright, eyes closed. If you have your eyes open, then you can certainly do it, but here's a lot of inputs, and it can be your brain. A lot of your brain activity goes to your occipital lobe, so you can do it if you're going to have your eyes open. I kind of suggest like half-mast and unfocused, and it's a worthwhile practice, but for our purposes, we're just going to probably be eyes closed, if you like, but choose your own adventure that way. And if you like, upright is kind of more alert. If you lie down, that's totally legit. It's just easier to get dreamy, but that's sometimes nice. So as you dig. So relaxed and alert, we're going to meditate for, 15 minutes or so, and then we'll catapult into this Sunday like flaming Buddhas. All right. We'll start and end with a bell. I don't know if you heard that or not, but that was definitely a bell. Or a digital copy of what someone thinks a bell should sound like. I'm always amazed is when the bell quits, your mind just comes right back online, being like, okay, what up? Let's identify some problems, and any problem that we can't actually satisfy ourselves with now, we're just going to bring up again and again and again and again. Oh boy, thanks so much. Like that jerk at a party that won't leave you alone sometimes. Take a deep breath and kind of Be grateful for it though, because it really has helped us survive. In breath, if you're into that kind of thing. Feel your full chest. Exhale, let it go, slow down. Your mind is just going to puzzle, let it do its thing. It's got this kind of almost like geolocality in that it happens in your head typically. It images in the front of your eyes. But so it has this kind of area. So you can just be mindful of the area, but not right in it sometimes. So as you take those breaths and your mind does its thing, just let it. Inhale, feel your kind of shoulders rise up a little bit, and then on the out breath, let them sink, land in your chair, your seated position, or on your cushion. And on the out breath, let the sinking feeling kind of dominate, meaning let it carry your shoulders another half centimeter lower. The muscles in your face go limp. Your lips can slightly part and your tongue drop from the roof of your mouth. Just opening ourselves up here, just to whatever the experience is. If your mind is lively, great. If the house around you is busy, cool. No clenching, no kind of rejecting. If the snow removal company has chose this auspicious time to clear your front your front driveway, then all right, nice. Anything subtle, overt or subtle, that you feel like there's a clasping or grasping and hanging on that you can kind of loosen, do it. Could it be in the physical body? Could be in the mental. You're not really trying to push it away or change your experience. You're just realizing actually you don't have to kind of do the grasping to have the experience. So just like the breath comes into you and leaves you, so these things, they'll be there, but just the hanging on, if you can notice where that's happening, you can let go. it's not like we're just having a relationship with our experience, whatever it is. It's not trying to create a great one or get rid of what we have. We're just loosening up the amount of energy that we can spend trying to tug with it. If you feel like there's a particularly sticky kind of spot that is, the ruminative mind or the feeling in the body, feeling body, emotion. Use that out breath as if you kind of can blow it into that place. Just kind of soothe it, smooth it. It's like a yoga pose, but if you're applying it to kind of all aspects of our experience, you kind of like use the out breath as kind of just how to relax into that pose, a pose that is actually just you, the shape of you. Any other spots that you think are tense or tight, allow that out breath to be a kind of calming, almost directional tool that you can direct to those areas. You're not trying to create space. You're not trying to distance yourself from the difficulties or the beauties. You're just letting the friction drop. That's good. On the out breath, at that kind of flat spot, there's just this can be a bit of a sense of rest or ease, just pure experiencing can imbue that allowing almost. And as you inhabit that feeling of allowing, the breath just comes right in. And fills you, loves you from the inside out. Sometimes can have this echoes of like a feeling of forgiveness almost, that feeling when you truly forgive yourself or someone and this openness emerges. Openness in your relationship, in your heart. We often send these meditations to other people, but I think this one, we're going to just dedicate it to ourselves. It's about a little boy or girl who we still are. Who's always trying their best. Sometimes with little information about what to do, because no one's ever been here before. Nobody. So in this kind of last few minutes, just a maybe silent dedication to direct that forgiveness, that feeling of letting go towards ourself. The beating up of ourselves sometimes we do for, I don't know, wanting it to be different, wishing it could have been better. It's like, yo, I'm doing stuff that no one in the history of humankind has ever had to do with. And I'm doing it for love, out of love. True love. And no voice outside or inside of me is going to tell me different. It's my mind trying on different hats to see if there's an avenue I haven't explored, but I know. And sit for a few seconds in that feeling, even if it maybe seems far away. If it is, then just the out breath is fine. That's fine. That's great. Just sitting is good. But if on that out breath, you can direct it towards some of those clenches and holds that we have on ourselves about why didn't I do this and how come that happened. Soften our love into love for the love we want in our own body, caring for us, tending to us, healing us. If you like, for the last few seconds, you can put a hand on your chest and feel the heat of that body working. And take this flame, the one that is so brightly alive in us, carry it into the future to illuminate that world we want, that we know will fit us better. One that's safe for everybody, is kind to animals and humans alike, and where we get to dance whatever way we imagine that to be fully free. Well, the viewership always drops precipitously around the meditation part. That's funny, but cool, you know. However, here we are at the end, and the flame of you very much alive. So those of you who did it, you survived the 15 minutes of meditation. Great, nice. Those of you who are lighting a flame tomorrow, yeah, wore my flame shirt. Not the Calgary Flames, because they're not cool. Not as cool as the Edmonton Oilers, although I actually don't care. But those of you who are doing the flame thing tomorrow, yeah, I'll see you there, right? And until then, have a beautiful Christmas, and it's one of those ones where we're really going to lean into the spirit of it, and that guy was no joke, right? Even my First Nation peeps are like, yeah, he seemed like the real deal. In fact, one of the elders said, yeah, he came into our dreams in the sweat lodge, and he said, oh, your father's, like, the elder sent me. So he was claiming that he was being guided by ancient people even long before he showed up on the scene. So that's just, a story. But I like stories, what can I say? Okay, I love you guys. I will see you next time. Bye. How do I end this thing? Everyone's like, yeah, okay, go already. God. Wait, you're still here? Yep. Still here. Okay, how do you end this shit? Oops, I said it again, now they're never gonna share it.